He thought it was just after-work therapy until he recognized her face. When the hat is opened, the last person he expected was standing there. Not just a student, but a story he never saw coming. Have you ever believed you understood the people in front of you? Truly understood them only to realize you were seeing just the surface? Louis certainly thought he did. He was the kind of teacher who arrived early, left late, and carried home not just papers to grade, but the invisible weight of young futures. In the classroom, he moved with quiet confidence. He knew which student avoided eye contact before a test, which one masked anxiety with humor, which one needed an extra word of praise. He believed teaching was more than instruction. It was guidance, architecture for the soul. And in that belief, he found purpose. But purpose can sometimes become a comfortable illusion. Because when you spend enough time standing at the front of a room, you begin to assume you see everything. You assume that effort equals awareness. That dedication equals understanding. That if something were truly wrong, you would know, wouldn't you? That afternoon had been unremarkable. Another day of shaping minds, another quiet satisfaction. After work, he had a routine one small act of self-care in a life mostly given to others. A health therapy session he scheduled once a month. Nothing dramatic, nothing indulgent, just maintenance. A teacher's quiet rebellion against burnout. He arrived without expectation. The waiting room smelled faintly of eucalyptus. Soft instrumental music floated through the air, designed to slow the pulse and soften the mind. He glanced at his phone, answered a message from a colleague, thought briefly about tomorrow's lesson plan. And then the door opened. There are moments in life when time does not stop, but it tilts, just slightly. Enough for your assumptions to slide off their shelves. Standing there, calm and composed, was Saki, one of his students. And in that quiet, slightly awkward pause, something subtle cracked inside him. She came from a difficult financial background and worked part-time to support herself. Realizing her situation, Louis encouraged her to stay focused on her studies and consider opportunities that would better align with her academic goals. Louis had always believed he was attentive, but as he stood there, confronted by the reality of Saki's life beyond his classroom, a quiet question began to form one that would not let him go. If he hadn't known this about her, what else had he failed to see? He wasn't ashamed of her job. On the contrary, he respected it. It was honest work, dignified, and skilled. But the image of her managing adult responsibilities, while still expected to perform as a full-time student, unsettled him. It exposed a tension he had intellectually understood, but never emotionally confronted. He began to understand that his mistake was not ignorance of Saki's struggle. It was assuming that struggle would announce itself in ways he recognized. And in that recognition, something inside him shifted, not dramatically, not heroically, just enough to disturb his previous certainty. There is a gentle irony in this story. Louis went to a therapy session, expecting relief for his body, and instead, he received something else, entirely a correction of perspective. How often does that happen to us? We search for comfort, and life offers clarity. We look for rest, and we are given responsibility. We tend to believe that if someone is not visibly struggling, they are not struggling at all. But pain, pressure, and responsibility rarely announce themselves loudly. They appear disguised as normalcy, as politeness, as competence. Louis did not solve poverty. He did not transform the education system overnight. What he changed was smaller and therefore more powerful. He adjusted his lens. Louis did not leave that experience feeling guilty. He left feeling expanded. He thought he was going to relax after a long day. Instead, he encountered a truth that softened him. And perhaps that is the quiet humor of life. We chase certainty, and life hands us perspective. We expect routine, and we receive revelation. The next time you believe you fully understand someone standing in front of you, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what might I not be seeing? Not because you are wrong, but because there is almost always more.